Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning into my channel one last time. This is going to be the last video for the day, and I'm going to close it out like this. So, this is a video that I've struggled to make time and time and time again because it's more like an update, but it's more about like hitting like what hits home even more. And I always wonder like how many other people go through the same thing that I'm going through. On a previous video, I did talk about like my regrets and wishing you could just go back in time. But really, it all boils down because of what I've been experiencing all throughout these years. Ever since I had first found the Urantia book, things have not worked so much in my favor. But had I been more in tune with it, had I found the right people to tell me how to go about it rather than cramming so much information in my head, which eventually that's how I end up not really sticking. Anyways, I'm not here to blame anybody, but let's just say in the very beginning I wasn't really ready to take on the Urantia book full on when it was just so much for a 19-year-old. They were like, what the hell am I going to do this? And living in California where 99% of the people around you don't read the Urantia book, have never heard about it. I should say 99.98% of the people around me have never heard of such thing. And if they are Christians, 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be interested in anything outside of the Bible. I have not ran into so many atheist or agnostic people, but I have met them before. But I've never really have had a chance to bring the book around other classes of people. I have tried with the church that I used to go to. I try to bring it up with people who I have gotten to know over a short amount of time, just enough for me to build that rapport with them, and I've gotten to know them over a short period of time. So I do tend to bring up the Urantia book from time to time. Is what I'm trying to say, and the results that I would get is not really what I was looking for. And a lot of times, I really do look for people who may want to open up their minds or find interest in the Urantia book or something just a little bit higher, like outside of the Bible. Now, I have grown to the point where I can now tell you I like to just leave Christians alone. I used to have a thing against them. I used to talk a lot of shit. But studying Jesus and getting to know Jesus a little bit more through the help of the Spirit of Truth has helped open up my eyes a little bit more. And now I just feel like I have a little bit more sympathy, more patience, a little more understanding, and maybe I should say more discipline because I have had I react when people would say things that would trigger me about like the Bible. Like they would throw all these common phrases that you hear from time to time, and I'm just like, man, fuck that shit. Like, you really believe in that shit? Like, have you actually read the whole Bible? I made it a thing. I made it a point the other day when people used to say, "Oh, this shall pass," or just saying cliche things out of the Bible. One of the biggest things was somebody telling me that the Bible has all the answers. Now, that right there used to irk. That right there, you're making me put the gloves on right now. Like that, all I have to hear was just that because I'm gonna start questioning motherfuckers. I purposely come up with questions to trick people. Okay, and thinking like that puts me in a position where I feel like I should be reprimanded for that. I should be redirected. I should be, in other words, like I need to learn how to approach the situation a lot better because I have accepted the fact that the Bible doesn't have all the answers. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with the fact that somebody actually does believe in God, has found a connection with God through the Bible, through Jesus. And a lot of times the premise of my findings is that it's basically the same thing. Like the foundation is you believe Jesus somehow, some way. You believe that he's the way, and he is leading us towards God. So that's the main issue. And now I'm like, okay, cool. Like as long as you found some truth in God, about God, whatever it is that brings you closer to your higher power, that's all that really matters. Jesus did not take away anything from other believers, except he only thing he did was he added more value and more meanings to your belief. And I never understood that. I thought I did understand that by implementing some of the knowledge, some of the information that I have learned from the Urantia book. But then I later find out I come across looking like a fucking dickhead anyways. Like people are not ready for anything that's outside of what they have heard or what they are programmed to learn. And you know what? That's fine. The 99 sheeps are doing just fine. They're still alive. They're working together. They're doing what they believe God's will is. And yeah, like with me, I do consider myself as that one sheep that fucking went somewhere else to go find more. I was always curious. There was something inside of me that was telling me to go this way, go that way. I never really felt like I was part of a crowd. Um, Throughout the years, ever since I found the Urantia book, like I said, I try to bring it up with folks who have gotten to know me, and likewise. So it later turned out to be more of a lone wolf mission. Like the lifestyle that I live right now, I really don't have like close cosmic friends, but I do have a couple of people who I can run to, and they're on Facebook. And these are people who I've gotten to know for the last few years. Very nice people, and I can say almost the same thing about others who I've recognized over the years. I've never had an issue with them, and I can run and ask them questions about something that I really don't quite understand out of the Urantia book. But the Urantia book is making it pretty plain and simple what they're trying to say, and they even say that it's difficult for these angelic beings. To try to come down to our level to explain certain things about this new revelation, trying to describe the information that we can handle. So I find it as a blessing. I fucking love the Urantia book. The only one part that I'm having a tough time with, only because it's kind of dry and boring for me, or actually, it's not its fault. It's just I don't have an interest for the history of the world. Like when it gets to like the shamans, or when it comes to certain eras, here and there. Like I don't know. It's just it's way too much information for me, and I just don't have an interest for that right now. Like anything from the history of the world, the making of the world, the making of the universe, all the way up until like when people finally have establish a structured society. So there was just so much information there that I was just like, I could do without this, because the meat and potatoes of the book is um the very beginning, when it talks about the universal father. To me, that's my favorite part. I fucking love that one. And then everything else follows. The infinite spirit is also a fucking kick-ass one. And the eternal son for me was a little bit personal, because now I understand who actually makes the approach when you're reaching out to God. And I come to find out it's really the eternal son. And it was really the eternal son who has worked his who had did his work through Jesus. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, and I hope I am. I know it was the universal father. We could say that, but yeah, there was just this dual influence from both the father and the son that worked through Jesus. that Jesus had made it possible for us to see like who God really is. Just it's wow. I'm just learning more, but the difficulties that I have endured throughout all these years is being a lone wolf. Now, being a lone wolf has its side effects, and I'm not gonna lie, it has driven me to the point where even there's been times when I thought that maybe I am going crazy, maybe I am developing some kind of mental illness, maybe I need to go see somebody, maybe I need to go see a fucking shaman and do some spiritual voodoo fucking cleansing or some shit like that. Maybe I need to go buy me an eighth of fucking shroom like I did and just get lost in the woods and try to connect to something. So I have done some low key stuff here and there, only to find myself back to realizing that the very sources that I'm getting my information from are the unseen forces that I can only pick up on if I'm there to hear it, if I'm there to catch it. I have made mention about how I found the spirit of the truth when I was in the hotel room while I was out doing my job, and to me that was like one of the biggest divine interventions that I have had recently. And I've had under other divine revelations before, but it was just here and there, and I wasn't sure like where is this information coming from? Was it coming from the infinite spirit? Is it coming from the thought adjuster? Or is this from some angel that is standing right next to me? I mean, I had all these questions, and then once I was reading about the supreme being, and oh my god, like to me for some reason those papers were just well put together. Like it really stimulates my mind how it talks from the evolution of our existence, and then there's a pre-echo of what's going to come next after we succeed the golden era of light and life. Like there's this um post supreme Havana, whatever it is, right? The transcendental stage. So I'm hearing that there's this almighty supreme that just goes beyond everything. By then is just beyond our imagination. We don't know what values, meanings are going to present themselves by then because we don't have it here right now. So just imagine us trying to show this progressive society to somebody who had lived 3,500 years ago. They would think that this is like heaven almost, or they'll think that he's in a very different world. So I think about that and I'm like, oh, okay, that to me, that kind of makes a little bit more sense. But as a human being who's living his life right now and trying to navigate through the oceans of Christianity, religion, institutes, the not the secular world of things, and just the way things are going right now, I just feel like I'm the only one who is blessed with this book, who is blessed with this information, because I see a light somewhere when I'm walking around. I see this little light that shines through. And that little light is always reminding me that there's something in progress. And from time to time, I'll get something. I'll get like a feeling that's telling me that something is impending. When I get those signals, I pray to God and I ask Him to just allow whatever's going to happen. Whatever happens, allow it to happen. Because obviously, if I get in the way, I'm going to fuck shit up and I'm not going to get the blessings out of it. So, times when I thought that things were unclear to me, seems like those are the times when I really need to trust in God's hands in everything. The blurred vision of a future can be easily misconstrued by my fear and my paranoia, by me feeling the way that I feel right now. Oh, I'm not working, so I'm not really making the income that I'm used to making, and I do worry about the bills. I worry about being involved in my kid's life. I worry about what my wife thinks. So, yeah, I do have anxiety every day. Even when I'm working, I'm still wondering like what my kids are going through, how do they feel right now when I'm not there? How does that inhibit their growth? How does it benefit how does it benefit them when I'm not there versus me being present? I do worry about these things because I have learned throughout the years that in order to be like the Father, you have to be like the Father. And I have learned so much through being a father to my kids. And I have learned the this underlying divine workings of a relationship between my wife and I. Like I can start I start to understand the parental companionship between Michael and the mother spirit Earth. I like to I make the mistake to humanize things because obviously by that time everything is spiritualized. Nothing is what it is like with us. We live in animal form. They don't. They are spirits. So of course I'm not gonna say that, they're always fucking around when we're not looking. Jesus got to go bust a nut, and so does the mother spirit. Like it's not us at this level. Like this, there's levels to this shit. Now, I know a lot of people are not going to like the way that I interpret um, these things with vulgar language, but to be honest with you, I had come to the point where I know that God is with me at all times, and I know that He knows what I'm thinking. I know that He knows that I don't mean any bad intentions, and I know that He knows that I'm trying from time to time. I know that He's here right now, knowing full well the real reason why I'm putting these videos up. And it's not just because it's therapeutic and it helps me out. It helps me to talk to people when I'm not really talking to people at all throughout the day. Today, I didn't really get to talk to anybody. So there you go, in case you're wondering, like, damn, does this fool ever call anybody? But I put this out there because when I'm having conversations with people, truth be told, a lot of times people get stuck in more worldly things, and it's hard for me to succumb to that, especially when I know guys who talk about other women, especially the ones that I used to work with, and I'm just like, dude, I'm cool, man. I'm just in a different space right now, bro. I'm not with that shit anymore. My wife had already caught me talking to other women in the past, and it was never a good feeling. And once I went through what I had to go through, the smoke clears and I could see things clearly, and I'm like, fuck, like deep down in my heart, I'm still recovering from the bullshit that I committed in the past. And it's embarrassing. I can see why a lot of men tend to just leave. There's a lot of pride and ego. Being a Urantia book reader, it's not necessarily going to save you from yourself. You really got to imply the teachings in your life, and you got to be fearless. I'm not telling you you're gonna be putting up a fight with people. I'm not trying to prepare you to get into MMA or get into a shouting match. But look at the way how Jesus did it, and just be at ease at all times, that you're not out here to fight anybody, and you're not going to entice anybody to get into a fight with you. If anything escalates, you got to learn how to bring it back down. Your job is to just carry the message with you. Carry the message with you. Be a shining light for people who are walking around in darkness. Smile, make eye contact, make a friendly connection. You are needed. I'm convinced, I am more convinced now that the Urantia book is more of a direct line, a much more stronger line to get to know God and get all this information at a price, at a more hefty price. If I would have done it the Christian way, I would have a lot more friends. I would be involved with an institute. I would be volunteering my time to be a part of society a little bit more. There is a lot of pros in being in some type of established relationship. Sorry. There's a lot of pros in being in established religions. You know, whether you are part of Islam, you're Jewish, you're Buddhist, you're this or that. Um, the main important thing is that is part of God's will, is to love one another and then worship your God. Um, I don't think there's any love lost. Now that I think about it, there is no love lost when somebody is truly, genuinely worshiping something that they feel like is not dormant, but like they feel like something is vibrant inside of them that's talking to them. So they just may have found it through a different translation, a different form. So okay, fine, I totally get it. I can't speak their language either, so I fail in so many other areas. But that doesn't mean um that I'm failing exactly where I'm supposed to be. Where I'm supposed to be, this is my lane. The Urantia book has helped me understand more and more and more who these celestial beings are and how I can interpret the scriptures and key notes that people use from time to time. And if I can add to it, I'll try my best without coming across like a fucking asshole. So, like I said, guys, I tend to ramble on, but guys, I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. If you really are watching my videos, just know that what you have done for me, whether it be today, tomorrow, next week, or whenever, wherever, the fact that I can see how many views I get per video, like just knowing that there's somebody out there listening, that shit means a lot to me. It really does. I am worried about that one sheep out of the 99 that runs away. I do understand why there is so much worth, so much value in any human being that shows up on this earth. Nothing is born out of accident. That's for damn sure. Now that I know that, even the ones with mental handicaps or any kind of disability, like they have a reason. And even if they can work with some type of intuition to some degree, that that is more than enough for me to know that this other people count just as much as the average person. And yeah, like I've grown with more compassion. I have an interest to go out of my way to actually help out people. Being 38 right now, I can honestly tell you this is a very different person than if I would be standing next to my own self when I was 28. Definitely way, way different than the person who I was when I was 18. So we're going back 20 years ago. At 18, I was in a very, 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 very misguided, dark place, and sheesh, it could have gotten worse. I was dealing with depression, but that's just for another day. And I think I've already expounded on that on my previous video. However, I'm gonna end it off like this. So you are going to experience turbulence for being a Urantia book reader. But don't give up. Really pay attention and learn from the Jesus papers. That is the meat and potatoes. That is your guidance right there. I don't know why the fuck you want to imply so much information and be so strict about it that this is all you want to do when there's just so much more to life. And look at it this way too. Jesus didn't have the Urantia book when he was alive, okay? So don't make the mistake of worshiping a book. Don't do that. Do not shove the book down people's throats. I have made a mistake, and it's not a good thing. I do get some pushback, and it's not good because by then you definitely lose friendship. You lose that connection with others. Um, Likewise, I want to say this: Jesus didn't have a Bible, and when people do say that he did, tell them in a very nice way, like, okay, but do you know when the Bible was like the first? Do you know when the first Bible was actually created, right? And just leave it at that. Like, if you know you're gonna get into an argument, just fucking leave it alone. Just say, all right, bro. Well, I'm glad you found the light. Very happy that you found God and you got baptized and you got a finger up your ass and all this other stuff. So, yeah, sorry, I had to throw that in there. But anyways, man, I gotta let you guys go. I think I'm going to try to go outside for just a little bit. I need to get some fresh air. I've been cooked up in the house for the last 8 hours since I woke up. I haven't really been outside, and I can go crazy. Yeah. All right, guys, take care. Peace.